I'd like to welcome everyone to the Swiss PropTech online meetup. Today, we would have been hosting our session at Lausanne. Unfortunately, due to the current situation, we are forced to host all our activities online, and we are very pleased that 35 people signed up for the online session of today. We are going to introduce you through the program of the next hour. We have 4 guests for you prepared who will provide specific insights into the PropTech scene and into the innovative projects from the established real estate industry. My name is Mario Facchinetti and Joanna Demkov is my colleague. We are representing Swiss PropTech, and we are available via our website or through the chat if there are any questions about what we are doing or about questions you have related to the following speeches. Feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to assist and answer your questions. Let's move on. First of all, I would like to thank all our sponsors of the session of today. They made it able, and they are strong supporters of innovation in real estate and construction. And we are very thankful for the support of Credit Suisse, Post Immobilien, Swiss Prime Site, and Suite Romandie, who are always supporting us when we are hosting our event in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. And usually, like I said before, we are always able to be guests at Suite Romandie at the Suite School. We hope and look forward to the next year's session that we can meet each other physically again and network at this event. So before we start with the introduction of our speakers of today, a quick summary and introduction about Swiss PropTech, the innovation network of the Swiss real estate and construction industry. What we are doing is we are fostering innovation in the way that we connect people in a people business. That means we are building the bridge over the whole life cycle of real estate, starts with the construction side and ends up with the maintenance and management part of the real estate life cycle. The people we are trying to connect are representatives from the PropTech industry. That means those are technology providers that provide value to the established real estate and construction sector. Those are the second part of people and managers we are enabling and supporting to network with those young founders and innovators of the industry. So we connect PropTechs with established companies. And the third party are investors. So if you're interested in investing into startups, or if you're active as a business angel or would like to become a mentor of startups, let us know. We are very happy to connect you with our members. We have grown during the last 4 years since we built up the community to over 130 members. We are active across Switzerland, so that means there is a big chance that you get an opportunity to catch up and get to know us in your region. For more information, please visit our website, or like said in the beginning, reach out to us directly via chat, LinkedIn, or email. Some information about upcoming events. You find also a detailed list on our website, swissproptech.ch/agenda. We are hosting in October, or we are representing the industry at 3 events during October, starting at October 6th at the Swiss Networking Circle. Please find information on our website in case you're looking for being present at one of the few physical events this year. Then on October 8th, we host another virtual meetup like the one today. We have there an opening speech of Galani Estate and Consulting. Though that meetup would have taken place in Ticino. So we are moving a little bit to the Italian speaking part of Switzerland. And on October 26th, we are welcoming Implenia, who will hold an opening speech about their specific topic, followed again by 3 PropTech pitches. But then this meetup would have been placed in Vaduz. So we are also trying to connect our colleagues from Liechtenstein, from the principal of Liechtenstein, to join this PropTech movement together with Switzerland. now, before we start with the introduction, opening speech about smart buildings, the needs from the perspective of the customer, presented by Jan from Roche. I would like to give you a quick overview about who we can expect pitching from the PropTech side. Those will be Altario, Property.io, and Docs42 for today. We're gonna introduce you to those speakers afterwards. In case there are any questions, please use the chat in the chat function provided by you in the dashboard. We are happy to follow up on those ones and answer your questions anytime. Good. So if that's for now, that's from my side. I would like to hand over the words to Jan, and yeah, we are very curious to hear what you have to say and how you are driving innovation as an innovation manager of Roche, and how the established industry deals with this topic.
Yeah. Thank you, Mario. So let me share. So, yeah, thank you very much for the possibility to present today as the opening speech. My name is Jan. I work for Roche, the pharmaceutical company with the global headquarter here in Basel. And from my background, I'm an engineer and I'm responsible for the operative realization of all our smart building use cases. And this is why I am here today. And as a pharmaceutical company, it's not normal that we deal with smart buildings. So why do we do that? As you might know, we have two very huge sites, one in Basel and one here in Kaiseraugst with more than 12,000 employees. More than 1 million net square meters. But the most important thing is that because of our new big constructions we have here in Basel, we invest more than 4 billion francs until 2023. And this is why we get in touch with all the smart building use cases. Because it's not just about building new buildings. We want to have the modern workspace environment for our employees as possible. And we want that all of these things are connected to each other in a way of digitization we can't imagine today. And because that, we have now the great opportunity to realize a lot of cool stuff, I would say. And it's not just about cost efficiency. One of our most important thing, and I pointed it out with the key facts, is the war of talents and the best place to be. So what does it mean? A lot of smart building cases are just about cost efficiency, saving money, etc. Yes, this is very important, absolutely. But we think a little bit farther than that. So why do a researcher go to us in Roche here in Basel and not to San Francisco in the Valley or something like that? So this is why we want to have a very cool experience when you work in our environment, in our buildings. And this depends, directly on the infrastructure we can provide. And this is why we deal with smart buildings. And when we started to deal with that, we thought about, okay, what are the most important things we can think about? And we pointed out 8 major facts here. And this is the Internet of Things. So how can we connect different devices, our infrastructure? We have a lot of logistics processes going on our side. And we want to digitize all these processes on our side. We have more than 100 buildings. And this is like a little city in the city of Basel. And so we think about how to connect the infrastructure. I also pointed out with the logistic, how can we navigate personally and with all our different assets. And one thing which is pointed out a lot of the time is the energy consumption. Yes, we have a lot of energy consumption going on the side, and we think about, based in the future, how can we be more sustainable. We have different mobility services we provide to our employees. It's not just about bus, it's also scooter, bike, cars, and rental cars, electricity cars, etc. And we want to connect that also with our site environment. Because we have a lot of buildings and research going on, we think about safety, security, how can we ensure that in the future? Sustainability, I also said that, and all of the logistic parts. And these is a huge field where we are in place in. And when we think about the use cases, we had to go one step earlier, and this is about enabler. And what is an enabler? We thought that before it comes to smart building use cases, we have to ensure that the basic infrastructure on the technology side is ensured. And this is why we have here the backbone as a visual, because a lot of use cases are about the connectivity of different data sources, physical and digital, and we connected everything in an IoT platform in a centralized and standardized way. Why do we need a standard for that? As you can imagine, we have a lot of different vendors and technologies on the site, for example, elevators or pumps. And all of these providers provide dedicated IoT clouds for us, but this is not a scalable solution for us as a globally concern. So we implemented a standardized IoT environment here. Then a lot of use cases are about location detection. You want to know where an asset is, where a people is, where you can find a point of interest. So we have to triangulate different data sources to come up with a very dedicated place and location information. And when you combine that, and this is the red square, with the maps for smart building, then you come to a very hard fact that you need floor plans in combination with the location information. And this is very hard to us because we have like 100 buildings, and the floor plans exchange is very important for us. And the employee app, this is called the DEX app, Digital Employee Experience app. It's more about that. This is the front end for our end users, for the customers and for all the employees, that they can get in touch with just on one app with all of the different services. And this is more like a platform. And when we enabled all these technologies, then we can say, okay, we have these prioritized use cases, which are currently the most important one for us now. It's about space utilization optimization, so occupancy tracking, how is our area used, asset tracking, indoor navigation. We want to find points of interest, rooms, etc. And we want to optimize our smart facility services, for example, the cleaning stuff, based on the occupancy data we collect. We also created a business model, and this is something I wanted to show you, just 2 squares, because if you provide a product, this could be impossible. What do we think as a customer is important from a smart building? And yeah, this is also what we want to increase the sustainability. We want to reduce costs, but also, this is very important, the increasement of the employee retention and well-being. And the revenue streams from a smart building for us, it's on the one hand, the efficient asset management, and also the optimized usage of our use case of our resources, and this is the infrastructure. And a lot of providers from smart use cases are more in the building-centered area. They are just concentrated on the cost-efficient operations. But you also have to keep in mind that in the future, it will be more on the user experience. How can a user get in touch with all the buildings and the smart buildings and the infrastructure? And at the end, you will find something between all of these different areas, and it also depends what you provide with your product. We also figured out that we have 5 major problems with realization of these smart buildings. And one important thing is the cybersecurity case. When you install like a huge amount of sensors, you have to ensure that these are safe and that you don't have a security issue here. You also have to manage all the data. You need a digital management. So these are the guys who manage new use cases, the onboarding, the realization, the budget things, etc. You also have the guys on the site, we call this building and site operation, who maintain all the different sensors and the physical devices. And you will have a lot of these in the future. And one of the most important thing for us is the digital operation, So we understand based on that, it's about the device operations, network storage, vendor and license management. And yeah, we now try to staff new resources internally to ensure that all of these new areas are fulfilled in the future. And if you want to summarize that, I try to do that with just simple slide. The normal buildings, they are easy to handle. You have resources and competencies which are necessary. And I would say a lot of providers and companies have all these resources to handle normal buildings. But when it comes to the dedicated, connected, smart buildings, we see that we have, especially in the digital operation area, the cybersecurity and the data management, a huge gap where we need new resources and also skills to ensure that we can handle all these different areas. And for the technical guys, we created a huge map, and this also should show that when you start on the left side from the physical device, how the data are handled through dedicated areas, that at the end user can work on the platform application tier. So everyone talks about dashboards, SQL, summarizations, analytics stuff, etc. But you have to ensure a very complicated way before that everything is work here. And there are not one provider who can fulfill all of these areas. And this is what I wanted to summarize that. Always think about the upcoming responsibilities, especially for a huge concern like Roche. We have dedicated resources for each of these elements, if it's a sensor, a device, a firewall, and then the cloud or the application stuff. And this is very complicated, especially when for big companies. And then all of these areas need dedicated resources and skills. And this is something we also figured out. In our trainee program, we normally show, okay, how to handle a building management system or just the cloud. But nowadays, we need people and employees who ensure the whole process from left to the right. What were our lessons learned? The open communication, the mindset, 80-20 solutions. So you have to be brave because there will be a lot of unresolved areas when you want to scale smart building solutions, and you can't fulfill all the necessary requirements and think it from end to end, because there are a lot of questions popped up, and you have to be brave just to test, and then you, in a later step, you will be with a live environment there. The war of talents, I also pointed it out that we struggle with the resources and the skills. We have to ensure that our employees are able to handle all the new technical stuff. Open data structures. So this is very important when you are a vendor in the smart building area. A heterogeneous team. We had dedicated resources internally to fulfill all the requirements, safety, security, operations, etc. And I also said that there's no standard solution. So when you want to realize a smart building, there's not just one provider who ensure this is a smart building and then you get that. The rocket science behind is the connection between the different solutions and the vendors. And at the end, a lot of things are just about marketing and innovation. We are here a player in a completely new field in the infrastructure. And it's not typical that you get such huge amount of money that you can play with and with new digital solutions, etc. So the marketing is very important also internally, because as you know, we are a pharmaceutical company. And when you are a startup, and this is why I created this summarization, I want to give you five, for us, the most important points based on our experiences we made. In the future, the user experience will be more and more important than the pure technology. So it's about the people in the building and how they can get in touch with all of these cool environment. And then the open and easy networkable products. So there's not just one product and it can fulfill everything. Please be open to connect with other vendors, other competitors, because I, as a huge customer, I have to connect the dots at the end. And then it's easy when you made some thoughts about that before you got in touch with potential customers, how an exchange could be realized. Then also very important thing is the low-code applications and ecosystems are becoming more important. And this is also very interesting because at the end, we have dedicated business areas who are interested to get in touch with the smart building. I would say they are more or less able to handle a low-code environment, but not as a dedicated IT guy. And we made this experience, especially in the IoT case, when it comes to the testing and the prototyping of new things. And when you can provide like a low-code environment to us, it's very easy to scale your solutions internally up. Then think about the responsibilities in the smart building case. Large companies like Roche, we need dedicated and clear processes and a responsible person for each of the element I showed you before. And maybe you can make some suggestions or recommendations during all these setup processes. And then at the end, especially as a startup, please think about your pricing model. As I said, for example, we have more than 1 million square meters, and there we got in touch with some startups, and their pricing model was based on the square meters. And this would mean at the end, we should have taken more money for a year than it would be realistic. So think about the scalability of everything. Yeah, and then now I'm at the end. Thanks for your attention here. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with me later or afterwards via LinkedIn, etc.
Thank you, Jan. At this point, there was a question popping up from the audience, actually. I'm gonna read it quickly. Hello, it seems easier to start a smart building from scratch from the design. How is the experience of migrating an old, not smart building to smart?
Yeah.
Can you say something on this question?
Yeah.
It's from Claudio Figari.
Yeah, Claudio, thanks for that. This is also something where we struggle with actually. When you think about the IoT enablement, for example, a LoRaWAN network, it is very easy to set this up in our new construction buildings because they are under construction right now. And yeah, it's more cost intensive to install this environment in a legacy building. And so we start internally to realize these smart building cases with our new buildings, and we have more than 10 new buildings. So this is also a huge project. And afterwards, then we have a dedicated timeline with a special portfolio elements with the legacy buildings. And at the end, it wouldn't make sense to enable all of our buildings with this infrastructure, because when there's a building just with a life period less than 5 years, it absolutely wouldn't make sense to think about smart building cases. So it absolutely depends on the project and yeah, how your customer is willing to invest here. And the new constructions are the best way to start with that, definitely.
Thank you. There was another question before we move on. That one is from Paolo, from our other speaker of today, from Altario. How can you hedge this huge investment due to COVID uncertainty? I think a very good question, because you must have great arguments when you want to get money today to invest into innovation.
I would like to show you this slide I showed you with the use cases. And the COVID situation is, it's not good to say that, but it's a thing that gives us a great standing, because we enabled our infrastructure with the space occupancy tracking. And now this is very useful due to COVID to ensure that just a specialized amount of people are in our buildings, and we can measure how our buildings are occupied. So this was a great way to show what a smart building can provide here. And I'm now at home since February, but because we are more a digital way, a digital team here, it was very easy, and all of the budget processes was just digital, the steering committees, etc. So I was a little bit surprised as well that this works very, very good. And a lot of these use cases was a good argument, especially the space occupancy, to move on with that.
Okay, Thank you, Jan. I think very impressive insights from your side, and I would like to thank you for your time being here. You will leave us, so if there are questions later on for Jan, just to drop a line in the chat and we will hand them further or connect you with Jan directly.
Thank you very much.
Now
Bye-bye.
I would like to hand over the word to Thibaut. He's CEO and co-founder from Poppety. And they actually just won the competition at Rent, Switzerland 2 weeks ago in the meantime, I would say. Congratulations at this point again. And we are curious what you have to tell us.
Okay, let's just share my screen. Okay. Okay, that's good. You can see my screen? Okay, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, great. So first, thanks Mario and all the Swiss PropTech team for the opportunity to present Poppety today. So my name is Thibaut Clément. I'm a CEO of Poppety. So we are a real estate technology company, and today we help real estate professionals in their day-to-day prospecting work. So we started 2 years ago when we discussed with real estate professionals about real estate development, so the construction of new building, and whoever we were talking to, we always heard the same story, is that today one of the main problems for real estate developer all in Switzerland is to find a land interesting for doing a new development. So based on this fact and discovering that 2 years ago there were no good solution to help them, digital solution to help them in their prospecting work, we decided to start to create a platform that will allow them to quickly find and assess high potential land. So to be able to identify quickly and easily which land is interesting for the development of a new building. So the first thing we do is to develop what we name the development scores. So the development score is an automatic scoring system from 0 to 100 that we calculate automatically for every piece of land to know this land, is it interesting or not to do a new development. So on the left, a score of 0 and 100 is red. It means that this land is not interesting for a new building. You can think about, of course, a land that is in a non-building area, but you can think also about a land that has just been developed like 1 month ago or 2 years ago. It's not interesting today for a developer to buy this land to do a new development. On the other side of the spectrum, so a score of 100, it's the dreaming land for a new development. So it means that this land has a very high potential for doing a new development. So how we calculate this? So we base our scoring system on 4 different things. First is underexploited. We will compare what is built today on this land, and we compare with what is authorized on the urban planning. So for example, if you are in the urban center and you have a small house in the big piece of land, it could be a good candidate. Look at this piece of land to construct like a multi-housing building. The last thing we take a look, it's about the legacy. It means that today, for example, in the center of Lausanne or Geneva, there is no underexploited land that exists. So we will take a look about the age of construction and the latest renovation of the building to be able to identify some old building that could be interesting for doing a total renovation or for demolish and a new construction of a new building. And the other thing we will take a look, it's about the geometry of the land, because it's always easier, to do a development on a flat square piece of land compared to a land that is with a big angle and a big tilt, like we can see, for example, close to the Lac Léman. And the last thing we take a look about is livability. Livability is what's the neighborhood around my piece of land. So are we talking a land with a lot of commodity around? For example, in the central area, are we talking a land that you will need a car to go to do your shop or to go to school? So more you are close to a urban area, better will be the livability scores. So this score, thanks to our mapping system today, we're able to identify quickly in the area what is the best with high potential land that is interesting for developments. So for example, here we're in Corso, I can see here green, it's been interesting for new development. Here, we have just a bare land with no building in a constructible area. So it's good candidates. If I go on the left, it's inverse. It's not interesting for doing a new development because we use all the underexploited. There is no space available for doing a new development. And the current building in the plot of land is not very old. Once you find an interesting plot of land you want to know more about, you just have to click on it and we'll give you direct access to the land register, the residential contact that is living on this piece of land, some other information about if we have transactions in our story that is affecting today this house, or information about the building permit also. And if you want to know more about this, you just click on Open Data Analysis and we'll give you all the information a professional need to understand about the land to know if it's a good candidate finally to do a new development on this. We give you a 3D view of the building that we allow you to see what is possible, if there's some space available, information about the legacy, so the building that is currently constructed on the area, information about the underexploited. So today we estimate here there's still some place to do a new development based of what is authorized by the urban planning and urban building compared to what is done today on this piece of land. So the information we give you, it's about commodity. You will have information, I told you about the geometry of the platform. So is it like a flat? You see, we see that there are some tilt, 16%, and other information about history of this parcel and its neighborhood, what the bâtiment are, and so on. So based on this, today our customer are able, to do to find a lot and to do an accurate due diligence of the land in few minutes compared to days without that solution. That is Continental Geoportal, for example, Google Map, and other stuff that is available on the market. So how we do that today, we are a real estate technology company. So our job is to collect a huge amount of raw data. We take it, from the city, from the region, or from the federal, and we bring them together, we clean them, we transform them, we link them together so to create what you see today. So intelligent layer map to quickly spot interesting plot of land, and smart data analytic where a professional is able to, with all the information we give, to see if it's interesting or not to go for this development. Today, so we are our customer, it's a real estate developer, mainly real estate agency. We are also real estate fund and architect that is using a solution to spot and analyze quickly some plot of land. We are available in Geneva, Fribourg, Vaud, and Valais, and we plan at the end of the year to finish the Swiss Romand with Jura and Neuchâtel, and starting next year to go to the Zurich area and to some Alemannic canton. We are 4 people today, so it's a mix between a lot of technology, some experiences also in technology and real estate, and some entrepreneurships, especially from our board. So as Mario just said a few words about it, we were honored to win the REN Switzerland 2 weeks ago. And for your information, we are based in Geneva. So if you want to have more information, if you want to go and to meet us, it will be with pleasure. You have all my contact here. Thank you very much.
Wow, you are on time, Thibaut.
Thanks.
Great, and thank you for those impressions. Very, very interesting what you're doing. May I ask, how big do you expect to be the market in Switzerland for your product? I mean, we have already a lot of built areas. Do you find enough spots that makes it interesting for you to provide this service just for Switzerland, or is your market globally?
The plan is to go globally, because today, if you see what we see in Switzerland, that means that it's most difficult to find interesting plot of land. It's true in every central urban in Europe. So Paris is the same, Lyon or whatever, Germany too. So what we get, the technology we get, we just have to get the data from this country and to use this, like we named with radar and this development score, to go to a new country.
Cool.
And what we see compared to Switzerland is that, every time you go to a new canton, you have to get new data. And if you go directly to some country like France, for example, or Spain, you can have all the data in a unique place.
Okay. There was one question from the audience. When I go to this one quickly, the service you provide is the access to the whole database or an analysis for the particular property? The question again from Claudio Vigai.
Yeah, so if I understand what the question, from the data we have available, we calculate automatically the score for every piece of land. So for any plot of land in this canton, we will be able to give you all the data we have, and I show you it's a detailed analysis of the land, and also we'll be able to give you the scoring system that will allow you in this particular area to spot which land is the most interesting for doing a new development.
Okay, thank you. If there are any more questions, we need to move on to keep on time. There just popped another one up. Thibaut, maybe you can directly answer that one via email. You find it in the chat. Sure. I would like to go further to Docs 42. Johannes, are you here?
Yes, I am. Hi, everyone.
Cool. Please share your presentation and then we
can you hear it?
Not yet. Now it's. You should get the opportunity now. Yeah, now we see it. Full screen and let's go. Please keep an eye on the time and then we are good to go. Johannes, it's yours.
I sure will. Thank you. Yeah, we're moving to a completely different topic, which is document generation. Now, document generation is a challenge that usually when it comes to organizations, there is a very similar approach if it is within PropTech, if it is within manufacturing, if it is within finance, because usually you have many data sources and you want to have nice looking documents. So if you think about your own processes like invoices, quotes, PowerPoint presentations or emails, and it's also, Jan has mentioned in his presentation that having a flexibility of the data is very important. And that's what we do for document generation. And when you think about that in an organization, or if you think about an invoice, when the invoice is done in an organization, you usually have many people involved because on the one hand side, there is IT, and from the IT perspective, you want to integrate many different data sources. But from the business side, you want your invoice to be correct. You want from the marketing perspective it has the correct logo, it should look nice because it's like your basically your print or your digital document to the customer. And it could sometimes make the difference between choosing them or choosing another company or choosing your company because of the product and the professionality you can achieve with it. Now, Docs 42 offers a very slim process around this. We are already a quite established brand with around 380 customers. We are working through partners in terms of implementing document generation into your organization, or maybe if you are a partner, it would be also nice to get in touch and you can help your customers automate their documents with the main focus of design in Office. Now, usually all the document generation engines, it's all about programming, it's all about complication, but none of them can design in Office, but still have it in the application of the customer where it needs them. So for example, in an ERP system or in a CRM system where you produce documents, to change those, it's very bulky and usually very a lot of costs because you have to hire some development to do that. And we take the approach of designing those documents in Office. Yeah, there's a little overview of some customers that we have. There is, of course, basically all industries involved because basically any business process, at some point, you will need documents. The way this looks is what you see on the slide. So we have a Word edit where you can design those documents very easily, and usually very few people do the design in Word. Majority of the people will generate those documents from the situation where they are used to, from their, like, we have one customer that does in the real estate rating agency of Austria, and they have their own system. And for example, when the inspector goes to any of the evaluations, they just take the pictures, they upload it automatically, and after they don't need to worry about their documents because they just click and get the documents. This slide is a little technical, I'm sorry for that. The only thing it should tell you, if you're not familiar with any of the icons, the challenge with automation is usually a lot of different data sources, which is also something Jan has mentioned in his session. And we are not like another document generation tool that is on one application, but we can integrate data from many, many different ones. And that is a challenge. Now, this is just one example from the Microsoft ERP system, which in this case is finance and operations. And as you can see, we produce a nice looking document with a quote, with automation, with some pictures, also with an automation of the sales side that they can integrate the right information at the right time. And just to give you a brief idea of who already does that and what they do, let me just give you a brief example. ABB, they are in Switzerland, so ABB Turbo Systems, and they started with automating their sales process. So basically when they generate quotes, it's not like a copy paste anymore, it's just a click. And with the data of their system, they get their quote automatically. Docs42 usually grows within an organization. So they started with sales, now they also do their contracts with Docs42 because it's a very same principle where you have data at the one hand and a document on the other hand. Now public, I've chosen to include this here because you see there's a lot of cantons and also cities of Switzerland that already use Docs42 as well. So also maybe some real estate linked documents that you got from the public sector might have already been with Docs42. Yeah, and what Michael Lammert here says is basically pretty much on point to the challenges of document automation. From now on, our employees don't worry about the structure and design of documents. They rather focus on the essential contents. So take time off producing the documents, spend more time on what you actually want to do, like getting in touch with your customer, for example. Yeah, and then of course in construction, there's also some examples. Baumit in Germany, they use it for the invoicing in their ERP system, and Koppen Construction is a customer that happened to us basically because they are in Australia. We just had 4 or 5 sessions with them setting it up, and it's just one proof that it is a very simple solution for a very broad problem, document generation. If you want to try it, yeah, get in touch with me. You see my email down below. I hope there is not the Zoom part that you see there as well, or you can also have a free trial for all of this. I tried to be important with the time.
No, you're good on time, very good on time. And if there are any questions, please write them now in the chat. And otherwise, we are happy to connect you. And like I see, Joanna already shared all the connecting details for Johannes from Docs42 about your product. It's always a good sign when there are no questions, because then it makes clear that you had a great presentation and answered all the questions. That's at least what how we can look at it. Thank you so much, Johannes, for being here.
Thanks, Mario, for having us.
I would like to give the word further to Paolo from Altario, and we are curious what you are going to tell us about your product.
Thanks, Mario. Let me share the screen.
All good? Yeah, we see it. Perfect.
Is good? Okay.
Yeah, all good.
Perfect.
Paolo, the stage is yours.
Is the audio good on my side, Mario?
All good, all good. We hear you.
Perfect. So thank you very much, Mario, and also Joanna for the invitation, first of all. I'm Paolo. I'm going to be presenting Altar, which is a company. We're an agency, and then we dive specifically. So we give the biggest part of the time actually to real estate, the prop tech use case that we produced internally. So Altar, very short briefing. Altar is a company based in Lisbon with a couple of offices in London and Milan, and we are a product and software agency. So we have both big corporations and startups with digital products. And we value essentially 2 things in Altar. First, all the managers are ex-startup founders or let's say first employees. So we really get to know the lean management from the hard way, not just from books. And also we value a lot the top talents we work with in all the areas. There is a funny fact, which is the startups that work with us, startup and also projects, corporate projects, but satellite projects that they take a life on their own. They have a good track record with us. More, let's say, than 2/3 actually are alive after 2 years of life, and they all most of them get to VC funding. Not because we have, let's say, a magic touch, but we really vet them, and we really play lean management with them. We start very small, and then we really have them towards through their life. A couple of people. So on my side, on the right side, myself, ex investment banking. I had a project. I had a startup before Altar, and then I co-founded Altar. I'm taking care of the business, most of, let's say, the business part. Danielle is focused on the product side, business and product, and then we have Claudio, who is the partner and CTO. But let's go and talking about Switzerland and PropTech. We have presence in Switzerland since few years, and these are some of the clients. With all of them, we have either project in the fintech space or in the PropTech space. One of the main clients is indeed Vus Partners, and you being in the PropTech, for sure you know them. So what I'm presenting today is Rike, which is the Real Estate Intelligent Cloud. This is a project that has been done together with AlixPartners, which is one of the main consulting firm in the world. And this is a bespoke solution. So this is not a software as a service, but given the complexity to implementation, technical and business into the institutional clients that we did, this is still a bespoke software. The problem is very simple. Real estate stakeholders, this is a bit of some provocative message, but real estate stakeholders have a Toyota approach, meaning they measure the real estate valuation in a very, very discrete way. Stakeholders, I mean, developers, lenders, investors. The main data is indeed the price per square meter, and this is measured time by time and not with a forward-looking approach. And here, if you want to read, then there is a nice example of the Mercato Metropolitano, which is a quite famous area in London. Lendlease, a developer, they bet a lot on this area, and now is actually a very profitable investment. The problem is indeed real estate prices, real estate analysis is done in a very discrete way. So what is the solution? The solution is having a more like a Tesla approach, and Toyota versus Tesla is that, Toyota is a very old car manufacturer with 200 billion valuation, Tesla much younger, but with 450 billion valuation. Why? All expectations that is gonna conquer the world. So our tool is actually AI-based approach, okay, that integrates lots of data and gives the user, developer, lender, investor a forward-looking analysis on a certain area. How does this work? So we two ways. One, scrape the internet and connect to APIs of different data. And after I have an overview, a very fast overview about data. So we integrate structured and unstructured data from different sources in a single brain. And then the single brain, this brain process the data and outputs forecasts about the real estate investments. Oh, sorry. This is some of the data that we leverage. I brought here, some of the data are focused on the Italian market because the pilot has been actually focused on the Italian market. Obviously, if this need to be replicated, some of the data actually needs to change. So very fast, obviously you can take the time to read, but obviously we don't forget about the traditional data. So actually the price per square meter given by the fiscal authority is still the biggest, one of the biggest and most important type of data. Then we cannot forget about the real estate agents, online real estate agents. In Italy is Immobiliare and Casa.it with together almost 30 million visitors per month. Airbnb. Usually we are always used to forecast real estate in terms of letting price and sales price, but letting price, there is also short term that now is very tricky, especially, I mean, we live in Lisbon, and Lisbon is a very, a market that has been impacted a lot by the short term rental. So Airbnb data for sure is something that can help us. Google Maps and Google Places, meaning understanding how a certain area, real estate area got evolved over time. I always give the example of Shoreditch, an area that 15, 20 years ago was quite abandoned, better, was really populated by warehouses. And now is pretty much residential and commercial, high-end commercial, and the price is almost the southwest West London. So there has been an increasing of restaurants, of businesses in that certain area that drove the value of the area so much. So if we can predict the number of businesses, the number of, let's say, participants that goes into that market, then we are able to understand if an area is prominent or not. Then traffic data through OpenStreet, we take satellite snapshot to understand if a certain area is under construction or renovation. Macroeconomic data, job data to understand if there is a spike in the demand or offer of jobs in a certain area, and obviously that drives up the up or down the price of real estate, and obviously news that can affect the real estate market. The output is obviously a value for the users, but what is interesting is the analytics part. So the analytics, the dashboards that actually these can output. We divided into three main dashboards: comparable assets, the second, demand and supply, and the third, the wealth being, to understand the lifestyle attributes of this area. This is it. So this is just in a nutshell what the product does. There are many nuances. Typically for the users, one is for investors. One other use cases that we declined was actually for managers of non-performing loans. So to understand that the potential buildings or assets that can be sold in order to restructure a portfolio. So the use cases are multiple based on this single brain. This is the analytics is the main showcase that I can. If you have any questions, absolutely, I'm happy to reply. Mario, I'm sorry it took a bit more, but hopefully it was.
No, it's good. It's good. It's perfectly. Today we are very good on time. Thank you to all the speakers for making this happen. Joanna just asked in the chat again if there are any questions. It doesn't look at the moment like there are any. I would share my presentation in the meantime. If there are some questions popping up, we get the opportunity to follow up on them. And otherwise, we are soon. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we had with our speakers, we had 4 very interesting insights, starting with Roche from representing the established side of corporate real estate. So anyone who's going into this direction and setting up their innovation team and looking for startups in their specific fields, how they can fill the gaps where they are looking for new technologies, new solutions to solve problems at the roots. Reach out to us and follow our community on LinkedIn. I think we have suitable solutions for you in our portfolio. Then the 3 pitching startups, again, at this point, thank you to all the speakers. You got all the information, how you can contact them, and we will be looking forward to another session. The next one is taking place on October 6th. When I'm right, Joanna, am I right?
October 8th.
October 8th, exactly. To sign up, visit our website, and we are happy to welcome you soon again. In the meantime, there was a last question popping up, again from Claudio. Always good to have such active listeners and users in our audience. This is addressed to Paolo. Will it be possible to reach? Oh no, that's addressed to us actually. To get the presentations, he's asking. Yeah, that will be shared afterwards, also together with the whole presentation and the video recording. You get a summary of everything, and you are also happy to or welcome to share those information within your network. Good. At this point, we are saying thank you to everyone, and wish you a great day, good week, and stay healthy. See you next time when we say Swiss PropTech meetups are online. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.